So I'm here today with Christopher Williams to talk about insurance. Now, Chris, let's propose that I'm a business owner and I think I've got all the insurances that I need for my business, but might I have missed something? Are there any gaps that I could have overlooked?
Well, most businesses are well protected with a broker looking at all of the requirements they've got, whether it's liability insurances, property and assets cover, etc., etc. Quite often, one area that is overlooked is that of the individual directors or the senior officers and staff of the business, and protection for them in respect of the actions that they take.
That sounds interesting. So could you talk to me a little bit more about that? Is it really necessary?
Well, I wouldn't be a director of a company if I didn't have the cover, just because I know what the potential pitfalls are. Perhaps I'm a bit of a worrier, but if you're out there, there's huge amounts of legislation that's required of any company director or officer, and if you fail to perform your activities properly, you could be subject to personal actions being brought against you, and as well as the company itself. And there is insurance cover for that in place. The company obviously can't pay for an action against an individual as part of its normal expenses, but it can purchase an insurance policy which then would cover those expenses, and it's quite often known as management liability cover, or what's often referred to as directors and officers insurance.
Okay, so what sort of things could go wrong? Can you give me some examples?
Well, there's just such a huge range of legislation out there, but it could be anything from corporate manslaughter, health and safety investigation, HMRC, the failure to do tax returns and accounting problems within the business, going on to trading insolvently, other shareholders taking actions with regard to contracts that have been inappropriately placed, not doing your role as a director or an officer of the company, but not only not doing your role, also not performing it to a satisfactory standard, which brings another party, whether it's a shareholder, whether it's the HMRC, whether it's the health and safety executive, or any of the myriad elements of legislation that businesses are required to follow, that the business fails to keep up to date with, which causes a potential loss and hence action against the individual director. Okay,
so you've piqued my interest now. Can you tell me, is this cover expensive?
No, it's not actually. It's really good value for money. If you were a small business, say with a turnover up to £5 million, the typical cost of cover, if you're all straightforward, is about £1,000 a year. £10 million, it's probably another couple of £100 on top of that. So it's relatively inexpensive, provides all the cover for the expenses. Quite often, if an accusation is made and action is brought, it's not just the outcome, but it's defending the action in the first place that is so expensive. Typically, the costs relative to that of buying the insurance in the first place are fairly modest, and hence, well worth it from a cost and cover perspective.
That's great, thank you for that insight, much appreciated. How do we get in touch with you if we're interested in exploring this further?
Very easy. If you're already a client, you can just contact your business executive who's dealing with your case, raise the issue of directors and officers, or management liability practices as it's also known, either via email, on the phone, or obviously you can go to the company website and fill in the contact form and come back to us.
Perfect, thank you so much for your time.